In one of my conversations with JL Core McBain, she expressed herself like this. For 17 years, I drove into work backwards. My body was going forward, but my spirit and soul were going back home. I figured just that one sentence was enough to create an entire podcast. But I also know that JL Core offers the solutions and the programs to actually make the changes that you're looking to do, especially when it comes to your health and to your mindset. She's got an ebook called 30 Day 180, and she's just accomplished the road to 50. So she is incredibly passionate and has had very similar results for herself, but not only for her clients. So welcome to Living Your Life with Leanne Lang, the podcast brought to you by Extension Marketing. And of course, as always, please check out extensionmarketing.com if you're looking for any information, and they've got that free consultation. And before we get started, I'm going to remind you, because it's been great to see the process and the growth of this podcast, but please be sure to subscribe and like and share, which I am realizing after 1 year now of doing the podcast, it is essential to be able to get that going. So appreciate all of the support. JL, great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
We're dressed. Usually we're not dressed like this.
No.
We're usually sweaty and gross when we see each other.
That's what I say to my clients when I see them outside the gym. I go, oh my God, I didn't recognize you with clothes on.
Right. A little makeup, a little hair.
Lip gloss.
Yes, we're good to go. And it's interesting because I met you probably in like part 2 of your life. Yeah. As I'm realizing, right? And we actually met on the set of CTV Morning Live, and we did a number of segments over the years. And I kind of always knew you as kind of Henry Burris had brought you in because he had done some training with you. And that was really kind of a very different part of your life than where you began.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For me, the journey started 17 years ago when I applied. Actually, it started when I wanted to become a police officer, right? And knew that I wanted to help people, knew that I wanted to, build that exterior outside, like I was telling you earlier, because my inside was so I was very insecure as a young girl, and so I figured the best way to do it is to put that bulletproof vest on, the Sam Brown, load it up with the baton and all that. So I got into the police force. That's where it started for me.
I had no idea. I just knew you had a history in the federal government and that you had been training for a number of years. But when you mentioned that you were also a cop, and then it goes, okay, there's a story.
Yeah.
There's a definite story. So were you always athletic, eager,
always.
out, even as a kid, like always the sporty type?
Always the sporty type. It was something that really came easy to me. It was the one thing that I could do, and I knew I could do it, right? Because it only depended on me. And I had so much control over me. I didn't have control over anything else except for me and my environment. Mm-hmm. So I tacked everything and anything I could sink myself into. I was a synchronized swimmer for 5 years. Wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go swim from the country in Quebec City.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
How long can you still hold your breath for? Can you still hold it?
No, I haven't tried that in a very long time. Hello.
I find that's an incredibly difficult sport.
Yeah. My mom was a synchro elite swimmer in Quebec City out of that pool. So she inspired.
That's a big pool.
It is like a big
pool. That's the pool in Canada to train out from, if that's where.
And Jojo Carrier was our coach, and I learned so much from them. I guess I had something, and I remember Jojo telling my mom, "You got to bring her. You got to bring her. This kid's got something." And then I started getting anxiety. And they would ask me to do videos for TV stuff, and I was like, I couldn't handle the pressure and the anxiety. So it was crippling me. So I realized at a very young age that I also was dealing with anxiety, which many kids do today. Mm-hmm. Many people do. But I didn't know what I had, nor did my mom know what was wrong with me. Why?
You were excelling at everything else, and yet at
there was
tasks.
Things exactly that would stop me. I couldn't go forward. Nor did our parents at that time have the knowledge that we have today to be able to give us the tools and the mechanisms to get over those hurdles. Mm-hmm. So I can well imagine how much further I could have gone had somebody been able to say, "She's got anxiety. Here's how we're going to deal with it." Right?
Do you regret that?
No, it was definitely, I wasn't supposed to go down that road. Mm-hmm. You can't look back at what road you traveled. It's just the way it goes, right? You know?
You were a young girl then. You're incredibly active, athletic, doing synchro. At what age then did you stop doing synchro?
I was going into grade 7 high school, which meant that I had to change places. I used to walk to the pool from my elementary school, like through the field. It's just, that's where the Y was. So I would go there, swim, wait till 7 o'clock at night for my dad to come pick me up. Sometimes he'd forget. He'd be out working in the bar drinking after work, and we'd be waiting at the pool. But it was just part of our life. We'd get home at 8:30 at night.
Most people don't quite say it's just part of life when you're sitting there
waiting
for your dad to show up because he's at the bar drinking. I don't think I didn't hear you say that.
Yeah, no. So I don't think I realized then what was happening. It was just, we would wait. I never, mentally thought he's sitting at the bar drinking. I thought Daddy was working. And it was only until later you grow up and you look back and you go, oh yeah, that's where you were. Because you recognize things. And then I went to high school and then went into organized sports. Because I was in everything, like in everything. There was an award that they give you when you graduate from high school, and it was to get your wings. And it's, those, you put them on your coat, like they're varsity things.
Like Top Gun?
Yeah. And I remember I was in grade 7, and there was a huge assembly, and they were saying, if you get X amount of points per year, it's added up. And over the 6 years or the 5 years, when you graduate, we'll see if you've got enough points to get your wings. I knew that the wings was going to be what I got, and by Jesus, I got my wings.
So that was pretty much signing up for every sport, being on every team.
And then you had to write down at the end of the year and bring it to the gymnasium, to the teachers, and say, okay, here are my points this year. Make sure to put that in the book.
JL, have you met my daughter? Have you met Andy, my oldest daughter? Okay. So she is like you right now, except she is signing up for sports that she's never played before.
Yeah.
And that's
field hockey.
She's like, Mom, she goes, I want to try everything.
Yeah.
She signed up for the hockey team. And I'm like, sweetie, you've never played hockey. You don't even have hockey skates, nor do you have equipment. And I'm like, so you need to take your name off of the sign-up sheet.
No, Mom.
Because, it's just one of those, I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I love that. But it's something when you see that, right, that there's this like prize or something at the end. You set your sights on it.
And that's what kept me focused. But it also kept me busy. It also kept me in shape. And I remember everybody knew me as the salad girl in high school. People would come back to my house so I could remember back then, all we had was, I'm older than you, but not much, iceberg lettuce. That's all we had. And I used to put Mazola oil and Aromat. It's like the highest in MSG. They took it off the market. Aromat seasoning salt.
Okay.
And Mazola oil on iceberg.
People came back to your house for salads?
Yes.
See, no one came to my house because I had nothing good.
Well,
I was always the kid that went to my other friend's house because they had junk food. There was no junk food in my house growing up, and so no one came to my house because they knew that they weren't going to find the
and
the
I
food.
would make.
But people went to your house for salads. I give them credit for that.
Iceberg salads and lemon. But I used to also make carrot sandwiches in a meat grinder. Leanne, I used to take carrots, put it in the meat grinder, put in mayonnaise, and all we had back then was white bread. And I used to pile. Well, what do you think would happen to my bread by the time lunch came around? There was so much moisture in the carrots that I would be eating like soggy bread and carrots.
But you had an interest back then of trying and healthy eating. The fact that you had white bread in your house, we'll skip over that. But your parents, I'm assuming...
They didn't have brown bread. There was not, or if they did, my mom didn't buy it because it was too expensive. So it was always about saving money, right? Obviously. She was raising 3 kids alone at one point.
Was it a happy childhood?
So you know what? I was very... because she worked a lot to support the 3 of us. At this point, they're divorced. They divorced when I was 10. And we lived in an apartment. I never had my own room. My sister had her room. My brother slept in something that looked like a room, but it was really a pass-through. And I slept with my mom in her room. And she worked full-time to support 3 kids because he barely gave her any money. Back then, the lawyers and the courts is not as it is today. There's no... I think he was giving her $200 a month. So she had to work. So she was never home. So I remember spending a lot of time alone and being, I feel like it was like I now can say I was very lonely. And so I was always trying to find something to do. I was very lonely. I remember that.
Did you find the companionship in your teammates? Did
Yes,
you find that
I was
with the
always
sports?
gone on, we'd go to the Eastern Quebec Regional School Board, we'd go to basketball tournaments to go away, and I was always gone for those. I got involved in everything. And I had a pretty good group of girlfriends. My anxiety continued with me into high school, where I couldn't sleep over at anybody's home because I was left alone once at nighttime in my home, and I couldn't fall asleep. And I started having another anxiety attack, and I didn't know what it was. I couldn't breathe, I couldn't sleep, but I was alone in this big house. It was so dark. We're on the side of a mountain, and I remember I called my mom because at this point, the matrimonial home, when they got divorced, my dad said, "Who do you want to live with, your mom or me?" Well, he was in my home. So I chose to live with him. So I remember calling my mom at night and saying, "I can't sleep and I'm alone and I'm afraid." And so for about 6 or 7 years after that, I was only 10, I could never sleep at anybody's home because I was afraid of not being able to fall asleep. So my girlfriends knew this, and they would get together and say, "Come on, we're going to stay up all night with you. We really want you to sleep over." So I remember going over one night, and two of my girlfriends stayed awake all night, and obviously I fell asleep.
Eventually you fall asleep.
And then
it's interesting the memories that you have of
Yep.
that are so significant and that you can recall as to how it shaped the person that you are.
Absolutely.
And I think when you talk about these relationships and you're getting through high school, the choice to go into police work, the protective aspect, was it to help people? Was it to protect? Was it to...
So I became very passionate about being I was always the voice for the people that were being bullied. I had a real issue with always standing up for the underdog. And my mother had been not very nicely treated by my father. No fault of his own. It's how he grew up in a very not positive environment as a child. So you do what you do. You know what you know, and you do the best that you can do. And I saw her not being very nicely treated, which made me grow up to be, my nickname, Leanne, was Tank. My father called me Tank because I was a tomboy, and you are never going to bully me. I would think that, but wouldn't tell him that because I was afraid of him. And I grew up wanting to be the voice for women and wanting to protect and wanting to never have that happen to me. So I thought, I want to protect women, so I'm going to build the outside. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, I'm going to be a police officer. I am going to be a police officer. I'm gonna build the outside, and nobody's gonna know that I'm really insecure. And then I got it. I went after everything I got, and I realized, holy, this is not how I want to help women. There was a lot of, you can't just leave the domestics with them. You need to, you kind of have to separate
working
yourself.
with domestic cases?
Those were the cases where I shined. I remember going into homes. They were the most dangerous ones too. And I wanted to, I would talk to these women. And, I remember my coach with you're getting a little bit too close. And then I realized this is so, you don't only have to worry about being charged by a member of the public, but your own peers. It was very different environment, too stressful, and it really wasn't how I wanted to do it. Plus, there's rules and regulations, and everybody knows me and knows that I'm a rule breaker. I like to break the rules. If I can go right, and going right is going to get me to go to where I got to go faster, I'm going to go right. But the rules say you got to go left. No way, man, I'm going right. That I was a rule breaker. I'm known as a rule breaker.
As a cop, I'm sure
that
doesn't
go
over well.
No. So then I heard there was an opportunity for working at the Hull Casino. And they wanted somebody completely outside the box, unrelated from L'Auto-Québec. L'Auto-Québec are the ones that put this on. And I was hired immediately with my policing background. Day job. I still hadn't started having children. I grabbed it. Director of security for the Hull Casino, left the Hull Casino after 5 years of me being there, went to the House of Commons. He came and got me from the Hull Casino and said, "I need you to implement our security system."
Who came to get you?
The director of security for then the Hull Casino. He became the director of security for the House of Commons.
Okay.
So he came and got me and said, "I need you to come here." And
so that's where you ended up?
That's where I ended up for the
17.
No, it was 11 years at the House of Commons, 5 at Le Casino de Hall.
What happens after that many years of going, as you mentioned off the top, you're driving forward in a vehicle one way, but you're leaving yourself behind?
So,
were you still working out? Were you still active?
That was the only time of day. So I'd have to say I started having children, and then...
How many children do you have?
I have 2 boys, a 20 and a 15-year-old. And I was so caught up in having children and surviving this 8 to 5 or 8 to 4 job that I began to realize that there was something else that I needed to be doing. And the only thing that made sense to me in terms of explaining how I felt when I went into that job every day was I was the lead role in a movie, in the movie of my life, but it was the wrong movie. I was not supposed to be doing that. And I felt like an imposter going in. I felt like, what am I doing here? But I would have my 70-year-old mother saying, oh my God, Joe, you've got a job for life, the federal government. You're so lucky. It's security. And every time she'd say that to me, I'd go, but why am I so unhappy? And I would drive into work. I'd be calling my girlfriend. This is after about 6, 7, 8 years. And I'd be crying going, the only time of day that I'm happy is when I'm at the gym. They had a gym for us that we'd go to. The only time of day I was happy was when I was at the gym, because I felt like that's where I was supposed to be. I wasn't thinking outside of anything else. It was like, my God, I am so comfortable here. This is where I need to be. And every time I'd go back to the office, I'd be like going to meetings, and I'd take a glass of water to the meetings and I'd put it on the table, and I wouldn't even touch the water. I had heard that negative energy, and goes into the water, and to not drink it and just dump the water when you leave the room. And I knew that I was in trouble when the only time I was happy was when I was at the gym, or when I was talking about healthy foods and eating and working out.
Do you get a sense, especially from the clients that you have now, that there are a lot of people that are in this exact predicament on a daily basis? They're driving in one way and leaving themselves behind.
But, I can understand, because I was fearful. I'm going, who am I? This is what you do. You find a job, you make X amount of dollars. I was making really good money. I was working 35 hours a week. Who am I to complain?
With a government pension. With a government, right.
Yes. But I have to say that I would go to hockey games on the weekend to see my kids play. Leanne, I'd be sitting there, and I'd be watching the puck go from side to side. But my God, I wasn't there. I was back at work thinking about what had happened, what went wrong, what went right, what I have to do next week. And because it wasn't work that I was, one, passionate about or even good at, I think the only way I managed to keep that job for 11 years is because I'm a go-getter. And goddamn, if I don't know how to do something, I'm going to find somebody that's going to help me to do it, and I'm going to get it done. And I'm a dog, like a dog on a bone. I got the work done, but it was so far removed from what my purpose was. And I didn't even realize what my purpose was. I just knew that it wasn't there. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely makes sense. But what does it take to find that purpose? I mean, what does it take? I mean, I know for me what it took to be able to have the courage to say, I've got to jump off of this.
I got hit by a brick every once in a while, where those were little nudges. Hello. And then I hit a wall. I'm talking when those things are happening. It's being sick, getting sick more often than you, anxiety ridden, not being able to sleep, I used to call them the moley grubs on Sunday, where I would start obsessing about having to go back to work Monday, Saturday night, and then all day Sunday, the blues, but I nicknamed it the moley grubs. And I would be like, oh my God, I got to go back. Oh, I got to go back. Okay. And then I would drive into work backwards. My spirit, my soul, the car was moving forward, but no part of my being wanted to go there, and knew, beyond the shadow of a doubt, I just knew inside of me that there was something else I needed to do, but I couldn't figure out what that was.
Where did you find that?
Then the anvil hit. I got really knocked.
What's the anvil?
The anvil, like,
Oh,
I said
okay,
the brick,
okay.
the wall, the
yeah,
anvil.
You've had a brick, you've had a wall. Okay, yeah, okay.
Clearly, she's not
Yeah.
getting it. She's not getting it. She's not going. We're going to throw an anvil at her now. And then I went, okay, I got it. And I spoke to my husband.
And what was that? What was
It
the-
was just stuff at work.
Okay.
Right? It's just
It
more-
wasn't one critical mass. Like
No.
it was just the
like I
funnel
was riddled. I remember going to bed at 7:30, 8 o'clock because you know how anxiety and stress have so much more of a bigger impact on your body. And people who see me today, like actually I was talking to a girl from work today. She goes, JL, she goes, I have to tell you, you look amazing because I'm happy. I'm not swimming against the current of life. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And when you're no longer swimming against the current, things flow. And Leanne, 7 years, things have been flowing. I don't have to work at it.
Okay, so let's go because these 7 years now, or I think what a lot of people are going to take out of this is the process, the how. So what happens? You
Left.
this last anvil, right? So you talk
I
to your
leave.
husband. You talk to your husband, and
Yep.
you say,
I have got to do something else. He goes, I agree with you. Let's. So they gave me, like, I had a lot of money that I had. They did like the math there, one salary for 11 months or whatever. So I got some money and I thought I can invest that. And I remember I went down into my basement and I thought, okay, you like to work out. Do you actually think you like it enough that you can train people? Or is it just because you like to work out? So I had to kind of like look at that going, okay, am I going to like making people work out? Or is it because like I had to figure that one out? And I said to myself, the only way I'm going to figure it out is if I just launch and learn. And everything I've ever done, Leanne, and every of the videos for my Road to 50, I always say, you know what? I don't know how to do this. I don't know where I'm going or how but I'm just going to launch and learn. And everything I've ever, people always say, JL, did you prepare? No, I'm going to wing this. I'm just going to go with being natural. I'm just going to launch and learn. And everything I've done, because I'm right where I'm supposed to be, has been really easy. So built the gym.
in the house.
In the house, in the basement. We gutted the basement. I have about 900 square feet. You don't need much space to work somebody out, right? It's not the duration, but it's the intensity. And it became so much more than working people out. Like my logo was created on a beach with my best friend who owns a production company here in Ottawa, Hyperactive. And we came up with that logo. We threw out words on a napkin. We drove down, my husband, my two boys, in Hollywood Beach. You know, like those low riders to the ground, because it's just boardwalk. Boys took off on these little doom buggies, if you will. The three of us, my best friend, my husband, and I, sat at a table. We drank Corona, and we took napkins, and we drew names, words. I said energy and inspiration are all words that mean something to me. And he sent all those words, and what we drew on a napkin, he took pictures of them, he sent them back to his office. And he goes, her birthday's on Friday. I think it was my 43rd. And he goes, create a logo for her. Well, that guy that did that logo based on words, the JL Core Energy Studio was born, has no idea how that logo now, with my philosophy and what I know for sure, that logo is the most perfect logo for me. Like the four circles around the middle, which is the JL. If you look at the JL and you go in on the left-hand side of the J, what you put into life, you get out and you come right back out the bottom. Like, I know you guys can't see me. Here I am trying to, or maybe, are we videoing right now?
Well, some people are watching on video. Most people are listening. Yeah. So
what you
go
put
check
in,
the YouTube.
you
Yes.
get out.
Yeah.
And then I've got the four colored logos. And I mean, you know, they're the links of life, I call them today. And so then that launched JL Core. I hit the ground running. A year after, I took, yoga certifications. I took 7 months of a yoga certification, best thing I ever did, just hatha yoga, just to feel it, to calm me, because I was like wound tight, right? And I remember graduating from that yoga certification. On the day I graduated, I said, there is no way I am going to be walking around on my tiptoes. I'm not saying that people, I just don't see myself teaching namaste, you know.
There's not one part of me right now, JL, that could, like the whole yoga thing with you. I don't think I've ever seen a yogi jumping up and down, kind of going, like I don't see that.
It's not
But
me.
I understand that there was the information and the education and the process that you got from it helped you create new programs that you implemented.
But I didn't know at the time.
There's no zen with you.
No, there is no zen. Energy, JL Core Energy Studio. But I enjoyed that 7 months, and I still have lots of friends from that environment, and we still keep in touch. But I needed to go through that and needed to realize that I didn't know that I knew that I was going to be a trainer, but I also wanted to have that aspect of calming me. And then I thought, there is no way I am going to be teaching this, and then realized, oh my God, somebody came in and gave a speech, and I went, that's exactly what I want to do. I want to teach athletes. I would love to teach athletes movement, mobility, and flexibility and strength. And then that led me to, I remember I was in a gym, this to give you an instance, an idea of how I operate. I was in the gym training a client, and an athletic gym where they train athletes. They had let me start training my clients while my gym in my home was being finished.
Okay.
Context. I saw a woman walk in with a set of yoga tune-up balls. I didn't know. I just saw balls in a tote bag. I saw her go into the back room, and I'm looking at her. I see her going in with the physiotherapist because the gym was attached to a physiotherapy center. I finished training my client. I ran to the back room. I opened the door because I knew I had seen her before. I had met her, and I knew the physiotherapist. I said, "What's going on here?" And she says, "Oh, I'm just showing, this modality. It's called yoga tune-up. It's from California." And I went, "Can I sit in the corner?" And she said, "Yeah," because I just had this vibration that there was a link there that I needed to explore. I sat in the corner, and her and I talk about it today. And she goes, "JL, you just walked right in there." I said, "Yeah. And thank you for letting me, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have realized I needed to see that." And then I began a journey of traveling. I probably put close to $12,000 in education within 8 months of learning that modality. I went to California.
Did you know that this was going to be this modality way of working with the athletes?
I knew that it was going to be a huge part of myofascial release that would help, for sure, the athletes. But yoga tune-up is so much more than just the balls. I learned so many other things. We had to write an exam. It was crazy. You had to learn everything about anatomies. It was a lot of information. So that is what led me to I started working with hockey players. I'd sat in a couple of sessions with one of the, I don't know, Mark Laham. He's a yoga teacher. He was sitting into an athletic yoga session. He goes, "Come watch, JL." So at 8:30 at night, I'd go and I'd watch, and then I started taking over those classes. And then the Ottawa 67s were working out of the gym, and I started working with the Ottawa 67s, and the trainers were really seeing that the guys, because I don't take any flack from anybody, and they knew, because athletes can be, they're a little...
You are a fireball. I'm sure those 17, 16-year-old players were scared shitless of you, JL.
Well, they knew that I was in control.
Yes.
The minute that they see that, "Ooh, we can have fun with this one," or we can, clown around.
There was no BS with you.
There was no. And so the trainers saw that, so they said, "Okay, well, she's clearly got control of these guys." And then I worked with the 67s for 4 years. And then they started talking about an expansion team for the Ottawa Red Blacks. And then I thought, oh my God, what a goal that would be to try and see if I can work with the football players. Put together a letter, proposal, sent it to, what's his name?
Jeff Hunt?
Jeff Hunt.
Okay.
Sent it to Jeff Hunt. He goes, "I am going to..." He CC'd me, his head performance coach, who had just been hired from California to come in, Kyle Thorne. He goes, "I don't know where he's landed in the process, but they are looking for somebody to come in." I get contacted, and there's 7 or 8 teachers that are being interviewed, and he says he's coming to my studio. I go, oh my God, he's coming to the studio. Oh my God. So we sit down. I put him through an hour and a half. He was with me. And I remember me not knowing.
And he's with you doing what? You're putting him through...
I'm giving him, he wants an overview of what would you do with these football players?
Okay.
How does that look? What does it look like? How are you, put me through one of these classes. Pretend you got a room full of football players. So I just had him.
And you've got stubborn football players who aren't really thinking that flexibility and mobility are going to help extend their career and their injury. Because that's essentially what this is. This is protecting their bodies.
And teaching them also how to move when they're in those crucial movements on the field. Like if your knee's going in, there's so many variables and things that I'm getting them to go to mind muscle connect. Here's what can happen in a split second. Here's how to get ready for these situations. Here's how you should be thinking, right? So it's so much more than take this ball and roll your glutes with it, right? And so I wanted him to see how I was. I wanted him to see how I taught, how I am. And we went for about an hour and a half. By the end of it, I was exhausted because I was so going on adrenaline. And I remember I looked down at him and we laughed about 3 years into me working with Red Blacks. I remember asking him, I said, Kyle, do you remember when I looked at you and I went, because he was not talking. Like he never talked.
The whole hour and a half.
Yeah. And he was giving me note, because usually I can read somebody, right? I'd look at their face, their eyes, their body, anything, give me something. I was getting nothing. And I was standing over him and I was doing a leg stretch. And I looked down and I said, you haven't said a word. It's like, you're really quiet. He goes, I'm analyzing. I said, okay, fair enough. So we laughed about that. And then as he's leaving, he's putting on his boots and he looks at me, he goes, so JL, he goes, you got a football player that comes up and says, hey, how about you and I? You know, I don't remember how he said it, but in other words, how do you handle that? And the first thing that came to my mind was, dude, I'm like, old enough to be your mother. That's so gross. Like, are you kidding me? You know, like and he just looked at me and goes, okay, thank you. It was kind of like, just turn it around. Gross. I'm like 30 years older than you, right? And that seemed to work. 2 weeks later, I got a call and they said that I had accomplished.
You start working with them. I mean, I know because that's then that I'm working with you and that you're starting to come on the show. And I know Henry Burris had mentioned, and he was like, no, my flexibility now or the core, can you do this? And I'm pretty competitive too, right? And I think I've got, I'm strong and everything, but definitely when I started to do some of your exercises, it triggers a very different mind-body connection. Yeah. And I think that's what's been so interesting. While I'm looking at the time and kind of going, okay, we could get into football, I want to be able to do it so how people can incorporate what you've learned into their own lives, and especially for people who can enjoy this road to 50 that you were on. How did you start to take what you knew and implement it with your clients and then with yourself to be able to be in the best shape and feeling the best you ever had at the age of 50? This podcast is brought to you by Extension Marketing. They're a new breed of marketing agency that acts as your virtual marketing department, designing and implementing cost-effective marketing strategies that will grow your business. I can speak to this personally, as I've been using the Extension Marketing team to help me launch and grow my business. Founder Pat Whalen has been a lifesaver for me, a genuine coach guiding me along the way into uncharted territory. Tell them you're a friend of the show and receive a free 1-hour consultation. Check them out at extensionmarketing.com.
You know, the road to 50 came because the 50 was scaring the crap out of me, and I thought the only way that I'm going to be able to handle the 50 was coming at it full force. That's my way of handling it. So I started training. I started really understanding a 50-year-old body and the limitations that it has, and also the things that I could change, the skin tonicity. And so the women that come to me, they're coming, to lose weight and put on muscle. And so the first thing I say to them is, we need to be realistic with your lifestyle, your kids. You're coming from some of them are coming from zero, working out, and they just see me. They see that I'm 50. They see that I'm fit, and want just a little piece of that, right? Mm-hmm. So I try to make it realistic for them and say, let's start it with this.
What do you start them with?
Oh, 2 days a week.
The person coming with the zero.
2 days a week. 2 days a week, come see me, and let's talk about your nutrition. Nutrition in my Links of Life, in my logo, the first thing, as you know, 80-20 is the nutrition.
And 80-20 meaning 80% nutrition, 20% working out.
Correct.
People need to
And if they can figure out the nutrition side of it, they are so ahead of the game. Then it's about just toning. And it's about putting on a little bit of muscle because, as you know, in our 40s, we lose so much muscle, bone density. Everything goes to hell in a handbag, I tell you.
I'm trying to stay upbeat here, JL. Help me out. I am trying to stay upbeat. Okay, so when you say they're coming in twice a week, what workouts are you putting them through?
Strength. Okay. So that is the most... I think it's so amazing that I've been able... My strength classes are so much more popular than my cardio. I only have 2 cardio classes a week because everybody wants to put on muscle, and they are realizing that the more muscle you have, the less fat you have. And I'll tell you, I've managed to change the mindset. The mindset.
I don't want to lift the heavy weights because that's just going to make me bulky.
And I laugh
big.
at them, and I go, dude.
That's why I'm going to go run for an hour,
right, and look like a bag of bones.
I do feel people finally realize that the weightlifting is a lot more beneficial than
and
the
I get
cardio
them actually
Stairmaster or
right?
The elliptical. I see people on that elliptical and I just want to shake.
Yeah.
Get off. Go lift.
But I get them before they even say that. Say, listen, do I look like somebody that's bulky and I work out 5 days a week and I work out or 6 days a week? There's some weeks that I go 6. But do I look bulky? That's a lot of hard work. You are not going to wake up looking bulky. That's 7 days a week of super clean eating and lifting hard and heavy. It's not going to happen overnight. No. You're going to tone. And the more muscle you have, the less fat you have. It's really starting to change. And a lot of women, and the big joke in the gym, Leanne, is I go by and going, that's not heavy enough. That's not heavy enough. And so they laugh. Yes, JL, it's not heavy enough.
So the strength classes, and that is squat.
We'll do 1 day's legs. We do legs twice a week in my studio. I think it's super important to get legs in.
Why do you think legs are so much more
Well,
important?
it's just the biggest muscle in your body. I always say, Leanne, as a kid, people would say, how come you're only tanning the front of you? And I'd say, well, it's what you look like walking into a room. Fast forward 40 years, Leanne, I'm now turned that around. I don't tan anymore because it's no longer good for you. Now it's what you look like walking out of a room. So it's all about butt and legs.
And for me, it's always the bigger muscle groups, right?
Yes.
So why is that so important?
Well, I mean, you're working out a muscle that, I mean, I get anxiety before I do legs because it's so hard, it's so big. So you're shredding and you're building muscle. So there's more calories being expended because you're working out your glutes and your quads, and that produces results, right? When you lose when you lose calories and shred much bigger muscles, the effects are much bigger. The lasting effects, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I always like my leg days because then I feel like 5 hours later, I'm like, oh, I did legs this morning. I'm still burning.
I'm good to go.
I'm still burning.
Yeah.
But I think people don't necessarily realize that. So for you, you have your strength classes are the most popular.
Yeah.
And there's a heavy component of legs simply because the bigger muscle groups.
Correct.
What else are you doing?
When I'm in the classes and I'm teaching them, I'm always looking around and asking the girls, okay, so what'd you eat this morning before you came? Because what you eat, the way you eat, and how much you eat prior to a strength class, for instance, is primordial to fueling your muscles. So if you're having, like half a cup of protein powder or yogurt, 0% Greek yogurt, that's great. But where's your fat, your macros, right? Your macro count, which is carbs, complex carbs, proteins, and fats. And so you have to have a little bit of those pre and post workouts. So I am drilling into their heads all the time. So what do you got in your bag for? You got an hour to fuel your body after your workout for what you just did. I said, why are you asking your body to work so hard for you and you're not rewarding it with anything that's going to help refuel the glycogen in your muscles? Like, why would you do that to yourself? And so and that's the good segue to the 30-day. So I realized that there was a lack of knowledge, no fault of their own. It's just not something that they know, and something that I know through the 2 competitions that I've done, is how amazing your body does after you fuel it properly, and how when you feed it the right foods, the right amount, you get results.
So what was the idea behind creating the 30 to 180? And what's the process? It was 30 days?
So
what's the 30 to 180?
Right. Follow this for 30 days. Do the workouts that I give you, which are workouts for women at home. All they need is a couple of dumbbells. It was kind of like, let's see, we could take you from where you were and give you a little bit of knowledge and insight. I've calculated all of the macros in all of the meal planning, so that all they got to do is follow it for 30 days. Just give me 30 days and let's see if we can pull a 180 on you. Let's see that, it's not a 360, but let's see if we can. And I mean, 30 days is the beginning, right? If you stick to it long enough, if you try to give it another, then you're going to see results no matter what.
The 30 to 180 is nutrition.
Yeah,
you figuring out the macros, what they're eating.
Yep,
and how they're working out.
And it's a dial. It's a little dial pad. It's an ebook, right? You download it onto your iPad. You go through it, and it tells you exactly what to do. I've got mobility in there. All of my knowledge from mobility that would complement their pre and post workouts of the workout that goes with that day type thing. Mm-hmm. So everything's sort of meshed together. And then you have your pre and your post workout. It's pretty well explained of how to pilot yourself through the book.
Do you realistically think that it gets harder to do that as you're aging?
Okay.
So you created this, and then you can look and feel a certain way because you've done 2 fitness competitions.
Yeah.
And then you're still doing similar things and yet not seeing similar results because it's getting harder. Am I fair to say that?
100%. Okay. I was telling, it's so interesting that you would bring that up, because I was telling some of my clients this week, I'll tell you, my road to 50, I was 49, was entirely different than my road to 51, because I've turned 50 in my 50th year. I don't know. I'm dealing with so many other issues with perimenopausal. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with my periods. I am not losing weight like I used to. I am not retaining the muscle that I used to. Things have changed for me. And so it's really interesting for me now to kind of look at it and go, okay, you need to not be so hard on yourself. You are not what you were, and it's okay. You just got to figure out what this next phase is and I'm so hard on myself.
We're all hard on ourselves.
Yes.
I think.
And I need to realize that I am where I am. I'm experiencing what I am. I'm going to figure it out. I'll figure out, like, after this, I've got an appointment at the Ottawa General. I'm going to go figure things out. I got an appointment with the gynecologist. I'm going to figure it out. What's going on with me? And then I was experiencing hair loss.
But I mean, you're saying that. Veronica's on the other end of the glass and she's starting to laugh. But this is realistic.
Totally.
What's happening with everyone. Like I'm working out similar and stuff and don't see the same results. Yeah. Or I see my skin. Oh my God. Can we talk about this? Like, how can you help women? Okay. Like,
yeah.
So, and people have seen, like, my abs, especially as a gymnast, like, I had abs of steel forever.
Yeah.
And now and then I had, 2 pregnancies where I gained 50 some pounds and 2 C-sections. So I have to give myself a little bit of leeway 100%. Here. But I have found in the last, maybe year or two, the skin is changed drastically. What is that, and how can we help it? Because I am not the only one dealing with this.
So prior to me starting that competition, I was working out every day, but my food was not as well thought out as it is today. I thought I was doing good. Oh, I'm just going to have a salad and a little bit of protein. And then, I'm just going to have this. And I wasn't doing the right exercises. I was doing more compound exercises, meaning 2 legs, meaning like squats. And I was going heavy. And then I realized I needed to do unilateral work, 1 leg at a time. And I needed to do higher reps for a little while. And I started switching things around. And I'm telling you, I started taking supplements. I started taking omega-3s. I started taking astaxanthin. I'm not even going to get into hyaluronic acid, collagen peptides. This is all supplements in my 30-day that I write out. I started not drinking Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I would only have a couple of glasses of wine. Three nice glasses of wine on a Saturday night or a Friday night. I'd pick and choose. So that, I'm telling you, has a huge impact on, the dimples that sometimes we get at our age.
I call it cottage cheese.
Okay,
cottage cheese. Is that fair to say? I call it cottage cheese.
Let's call it cottage cheese.
Yes.
And I remember I looked in the mirror and I'm going, how am I going to wear this bikini that shows half my glutes right up the crack of my butt without these cottage cheese? People are going to go, wow, she really thinks she can pull this off, and she can. And I remember looking in the mirror and having heart failure, going, how am I going to get rid of this? I got rid of it by lifting. I was doing legs, though, 3 times a week, right?
But you were doing it working legs separately?
Yeah, so let's say I would do quads and glutes one day.
There's March break happening. You've got people listening to this that are going, okay, I got 5-6 weeks to get ready to go on March break.
I did it in 13
I say
weeks.
this because I have discussions with my girlfriends and we're all, and this is what people are talking about.
Supplements, you and I have spoken about this in the gym before. I remember telling you that you don't do any of that.
I haven't taken anything.
And I didn't either, and I'm telling you, is make a huge difference in my skin. The tonicity, and the weightlifting, it was everything for the cottage cheese. Even in my stomach after having kids, everything toned, everything changed because I was kinder to myself nutrition-wise as well. I was eating all the time the right foods.
Okay, so what are the right foods then?
So this morning today would be an off day. I don't have time to go to the gym. It's crazy busy. So I had 1 egg and a half a cup of egg whites with berries on it. Then I came upstairs. I had about 2 hours later, I had oatmeal with almond butter in it. So I'm eating, a little bit. In the car, I have 3 meals waiting for me in the car because once I'm done with you, I'm gone. So I have chicken, I have asparagus, I have a shake with protein powder in it. So I'm getting a protein. I'm getting my green vegetables.
This for some people would seem
a lot,
and then right now they've just checked out because they're like, I was good with your egg and the oatmeal, and then as soon as you started listing the other stuff, they've checked out because it just seems too daunting.
The thing that I say that if you on Sunday can make your meals for Monday morning, everything's done for you. You don't have to, but you have to take the time. You have to take the time to prep if it's something that you want to do. If you want to make a change, there's a little bit of work with it, right? You can't have it all.
Oh, come on. People want the fast, easy answer. They want. So for you, I want to ask you this because you're magazine bound at your road to 50. I mean, you looked phenomenal, and the big thing for you was to set up a shoot with it was Pablo Chetty, right?
Yeah.
And for anyone who's ever looked in a fitness magazine or on Instagram, he's one of the best photographers for fitness. What was that like to look that way and to have realized
that was another
what
goal
you were able to accomplish?
It's because it happens so gradually and naturally, not naturally, but I worked friggin' hard at it. I remember it was in January when I decided that I needed, you know what, Leanne, when ego isn't talking in my ear, meaning if there's no fear, if nothing is making my juices flow and there's nothing keeping me, I always have to have a goal. And I knew,
gosh, we are so alike.
Ego wasn't yapping in my ear, and I went, I got to shake it up. I got to do something. And no word of a lie, it wasn't something that I was thinking of. I thought, okay, 50. Oh my God, that is so intimidating. Okay, I'm going to do a competition. Found the coach, booked it. Week later, I went, 8 years I've been wanting to work with Pablo Chetty. I'm going to be in good shape. I'm going to book him. I sent him $1,500 right away, booked it. And that was really a huge
So you
milestone.
booked the photographer and then worked backwards.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I knew I can't. There's like now I'm going to be on stage half naked. Now I got to work. Now I got to work even harder at it because I'll have put on a little bit more weight because there was 2 weeks between the fitness competition and the photo shoot. But that was just goals. That's what keeps me tuned in, switched on. And that's what I would tell women is find a goal and find a place where you can go and be accountable with other people. And that's the JL Core tribe is when you don't show up, I am calling you. I am texting you. And the girls know that the wrath of JL is coming after them. You pay good money to come work out. You better show. And if you don't show, I'm going to ask you why.
Is accountability
Huge.
I think one of the main factors
Who's
for
waiting
success.
for you at the gym if you don't go? Is anybody going to text you? We have it in us.
Right. There's some people, but there
We
are some
want
people
to.
innately. Working out is my favorite part of the day.
Yeah,
and
me
like
too.
you were saying, when those 17 years of working,
Yeah.
the only time that you felt really good was at the gym.
Yeah.
For me, my adrenaline starts pumping as I'm driving to the gym, knowing that I'm about to get
Yeah.
a workout. It's my favorite time at the gym. And so I realized for me, that's my personality. But I realized for the person next to me, it has taken every ounce of being pushed out the door to get there. So you have people side by side in these places that are experiencing very different
Exactly. And
emotions or how they feel while doing the same exact thing.
And I would even venture to say, to put it this way, as much as you and I love to work out, and how somebody could tell, if somebody told us, no, you won't be able to work out anymore, we would find it really hard not to do it. It would be like the people who don't work out and don't like it like we do. It'd be like them having to come in. It's hard for them to come in. It's hard for them to work out. Same thing for us, being told, no, you can't. There's no way. I could not work out. Same scenario, Leanne. They suffer just as much as we would not going.
Okay, so there are people who have the means to be able to get a trainer and to be able to be held accountable by having someone like you. Can you give me five of your favorite tips, if you don't mind, for someone who is going to just start by going down into their own basement and doing something, or by going into their own cupboard and getting rid of a couple of things or adding a couple of things? What would you say?
Start with 2 wins a day, and if one win is to start maybe taking supplements, if it's just as simple as taking vitamin C and an omega-3, that's a win. You started a new little pattern. And if it's getting up and going around the block 2 times, that's another win. Making a change a step in any direction is a win. Do something different the next day. Find a place that you've been hearing about. There's a reason why you hear about things all the time. They keep coming. Geez, it's not the first time somebody's told me about X or whatever. Maybe that's a sign that I need to go there. Look into that place that you've been hearing about. Start with your nutrition. Start with getting that under wraps. Find a nutritionist. Find a friend who seems to have it going on and follow that person. That's what I did. I every time I'm curious by nature, so I would look at the people that were already doing it and go, okay, what has she got going on? What's going on? Because when you look good, you feel good, and when you feel good, you do good. It's a
domino effect.
It is.
You could do those tips for anyone of any age. What would you say to people like the 50s right now who haven't done this, and yet I think are realizing as science and education that they can still make a change? Like they can still.
Oh my God, yeah.
I feel sometimes people are like, oh, it's too late.
Yeah, she's been doing it all her life. No wonder. It's so easy for her. No wonder.
But I've come this far. I'm 50,
Okay,
why bother
so
change
50
now?
is the new 40. You've got 30, 40 years ahead of you. So what are you just going to pack it up and at 50 and say, well, you know what? I am what I am. I feel like that's a cop-out. I feel like that's an excuse. I started hashtagging, it's just not a priority. And if I want to do a video and it's going to be called It's Just Not a Priority. If you are always finding excuses, then it's just not a priority for you to put your fitness first or to put your nutrition first or to, we as women, we multitask. We can multitask the laundering machine, the dusting, the feeding the dog, the walking the dog, talking on the phone, breastfeeding. We could do it all. Why not multitask our fitness and health? Why not multitask figuring out how to get a half an hour in here while you're taking your supplements? Multitask your fitness and health. Because I tell you, Leanne, most reasons why people end up in the home in their 50s, 60s, 70s is because they can't get up and can't get down on their own. And so they need help to go to the bathroom. They need help to get in and out of their bed. But if you're physically active and you're keeping things moving, you become more autonomous and more solo. You're able to take care of yourself. You're going to give up at 50 and you got to figure it out. And you got to do it for your kids' kids, because you're going to start having grandchildren. Do you want to get up and down off the floor to play with them? Does that answer your question?
Well, it does for me.
But I'm just like so passionate as to why start with something. Like I have 65-year-old lady with two knee replacements who drives a bus, and she comes to see me every day. She does what she can. We change all the exercises. She doesn't care. She's showing up and she's with a bunch of girls, and we laugh and we tell stories. And you know what? We are more alike than we are different. Us women, us human beings, we are more alike than we are different. And so my problems, although they're different from yours, c'est la même chose. We just have to figure it out. I'm dealing with what I'm dealing with right now. Next month's going to be different.
The things that you're able to share, people can find more information, because I think that 30 to 180 is for a lot of people. The 30-day 180. I think would trigger a lot of people.
It would
Commit
get them
to
going.
30 days, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's an ebook, and it's available on your website. Is that right?
Yes, it's the www.30day180.com. They can go there, they purchase the ebook, and then they have my contact information. I can help them figure it out. And if from that 30 days they go, okay, wow, I just did this alone in my basement, maybe, because I do online coaching. So I can train them from their home. I have about 15 people I train in their basement from a program called FitLog. And
so
they don't even need to see me.
creating the programs for you. It's the accountability that I'm assuming is pretty big on that one.
Yep.
And you can have those results, and have the results with limited equipment.
Equipment.
I'm a big believer. No gym is really required.
No, if you have a couple of dumbbells, a bench, you're good to go. Med ball, and I give all the list of equipment in the 30-day, and it's just really getting you going, getting you feeling good. When you look good, you feel good. When you feel good, you do good.
When you look back on that person driving into work.
Yeah, I am right where I'm supposed to be. It brings, I remember talking to somebody about it today, and it brought tears to my eyes, because it took the time that it took me to get to where I am. I wouldn't do anything different. I really wouldn't. It took the time that it took me to be able to tell a story. And I always tell my boys, find what you love to do. Find what you love to do and figure out how to make money at it. And if it's flipping pancakes on Bank Street at First Avenue, and you're the best goddamn pancake flipper that side of Bank Street, it doesn't matter. The money won't matter, because people will just come to you. They'll just come, my God, have you heard of this guy? He's the best pancake flipper. But you love what you do. Find what you love to do and figure out how to make money at it, is what I always say. And I mean, when I started the business in the basement, I got, who the hell is going to come to me? Leanne, fitness is the most competitive business there is. There's gyms everywhere. But people come to me for me. They come to me for what I provide them. I mean, you can do a squat in any gym. It's the package that comes with it. It's the motivation. It's just, if you can't show up today to the gym, then give me at least your supplements today and a half an hour walk. Give me 2 wins, but don't give up. just don't give up. I think it's important for people because once they fall off the wagon, sometimes it'll take them 2 months to turn it around. Well, at least they've turned it around in 2 months, right?
It's I like the wins.
Yeah, the wins are good.
Like,
just a little win, a little win.
The website,
www.jlcore.ca. That's how you can find me. And yeah, I love what I do. Find what you love to do.
I know. Well, I've been like that because I see you at the gym and I'm like, so JL, like, what are you doing? What's on that plan of
when
yours?
we have time,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, when we're both, and you and I, our schedules, right?
Yeah.
It's like, but we get in.
Yeah.
We get in, we do what we need to do, and we get out.
And then we help each other take pictures for social media.
It has helped because I do it does though, right? Everyone's like, I have trained so many people. Hey, can you just like hold the camera like this? And just
don't
press
move.
record. Just don't move. Just press record. But people just want to know what we're doing. And I didn't really think, but a lot of people are like, well, what did you do? And so it's, I'm not a trainer or a nutritionist, but I just do what I do. And if you want to see it, great. If you want to ask me the technical aspects, probably not that good. And if you want to ask me the macros, micros, probably not going to be able to offer that to you either. This is just what I do, but those are my wins for the day. And sometimes you share them. I really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
I have learned a ton from you. I remember doing the show and thinking, I'm like, I could totally do this stretch. And then I was like, not a chance. Yeah, you have us thinking about different things in our body, and I think that's what makes what you're doing really unique is that background as well. JLCore.ca if you're looking for more information. All right, well, that's a wrap for Living Your Life with Leanne Lang. As I mentioned earlier, please like, subscribe, share, let people know about the podcast and all the different information. We have a mixture of everything, and it's been great to see the podcast grow. And hopefully today you've got your 2 wins that you can jot down and make it a fantastic day. JL, thanks so much.
Thank you.